Hey there, beautiful soul, and welcome back to the Boundaries Unleashed podcast, the podcast for recovering people pleasing women who are ready to stop bending over backwards and start standing in their worth. I'm Vicky, I'm your host, and I'm a boundaries coach. I'm a modern mystic mentor and a fellow empath on a mission to help you reclaim your time, your energy, and your peace. So today's episode is one that's going to hit close to home because we're talking about why we keep saying yes when every fiber of our being is begging to say no, and most importantly, how to stop. So if you've ever found yourself overcommitting, overgiving, overfunctioning, and wondering why you're so exhausted when everyone else seems just fine, pull up a chair, grab your tarot deck if you want to play along, and let's get into it. So I want to start with a metaphor. Picture this. You're at a carnival and you decide to get on a spinning ride. At first, it may seem exciting. You're smiling, you're waving, maybe even laughing. But after a few too many rounds, you start to feel queasy and your smile starts to fade. You clutch the bar, you're death gripping it for dear life, and you realize this ride that you're on, it's not so fun anymore. This is exactly what it feels like when you've been saying yes for years and you've been saying yes out of obligation, out of fear, and out of conditioning. At first, it's how you coped, it's how you felt connected to others, but now it's draining, it's dizzying, and it's too much. Just like that carnival ride, it's lost its luster, okay? And yet we stay on this ride. Why? Why do we stay on this ride? Why do we keep saying yes when we really want to say no? And here's the truth. Most of these yeses that we say are actually not rooted in joy and alignment. They're rooted in fear. And you probably already know that deep down at a subconscious level, but let that sink in. It is rooted in fear. And it's okay. We are all human. We all have fears. It's a very natural human response. And so I don't want us to feel scared of having fear, right? It's its own like kind of matching emotion there. It's totally natural. And I want to break down today a few of the big ones so you may relate to these fears that I'm about to bring up. The first one being the fear of loss. Now, this is a big one, right? Because if I say no, then maybe they're going to stop asking. They'll stop including me or I'll lose that connection. So there's this real big fear of loss by saying no. There's a huge fear of rejection. They'll think I'm selfish. They'll think I'm difficult or worse, ungrateful. Ooh, can't have that, girlfriend, right? So this big fear of rejection for kind of speaking up for yourself. There's this real big fear of being truly seen. A lot of us like to stay in the background. A lot of us don't like to be in the limelight. And so when we say no, it almost declares what we actually really want. So we really become vulnerable and we actually get seen in our truth for the first time for many of us. Okay. So fear of truly being seen, that's a big one. And lastly, another big fear that we can feel is fear of confrontation. Now, every recovering people pleaser I know, they do not like conflict. They don't like for people to get upset. They have a hard time with hard conversations. And so this fear is really, really, really high for recovering people pleasers, this fear of confrontation. If I say no, there might be conflict. I'm not ready for that. I don't know what to do if they get mad or second guess me. Okay. And for my tarot lovers out there, because you know I love me some tarot and some oracle, this is really giving big 8 of Swords energy. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my tarot card that I'm putting up. But if you're unfamiliar with tarot and what that card means, it's this visual of this woman who is blindfolded and she's kind of loosely wrapped around with rope. So kind of just standing and kind of feeling, wrapped around, and she's surrounded by swords in this like pseudo cage. And so the whole idea of this energy of this card is that you have this sense of feeling trapped, but the swords aren't even touching you, right? Like you're in this cage, but it's not locked. You just stay in the cage. Or the blindfold that you have on is loose, but you're not taking it down. You know that if you just take a moment, stopped, and took a breath, that the ropes around you would actually loosen up and just come off. So it's this kind of false sense of entrapment, if you will, this Eight of Swords card energy. And so this is kind of where all these fears kind of live. They kind of fear in this, like, it's these outside energies that are keeping me stuck, but really it's just our limiting beliefs. Okay. And you're not stuck, you're just scared. And I said before, that's okay. It's okay to be scared. But it is time to name those fears so that they no longer run the show. Now, let's go even deeper because underneath every fear is a belief that you've been taught to hold as a truth. Okay, whether it be through your family, society, or even yourself. Let's look at some of the common ones. The first belief that you may have from fear is, I'm not enough if I don't blank. All right, it's this fear of enoughness. I'm not enough. I'm not enough if I don't stay late at work and prove I'm a team player. I'm not enough if I don't bake cupcakes for the school party. I'm not enough if I'm not available 24/7 for family. I'm not enough if I don't smile even when I'm bored or I'm just exhausted. I'm not enough if I don't show up to every invite even though I want to stay home. This belief says my worth is tied to my output. I'm going to say that again. This fear of not enoughness is tied to my worth is tied to my output. But the truth is, you're not a productivity robot, right? You're not meant to keep going and going and going. You're a human being. You're a human being that has feelings, that has real circumstances, that has energy limits. So yeah, that's a big one. I'm not enough if I don't blank. Now, a second belief that you may feel for yourself or think for yourself is, I don't bring any value if I don't continue to blank. I don't bring any value if I don't continue to solve everyone's problems. If I don't continue to be the emotional support person for whoever, okay? I don't bring any value if I don't continue to keep knowing everything and having the answer or having the plan. I don't bring any value if I don't continue to keep the peace, even if it costs me mine. I don't bring any value if I don't continue to say yes just to keep other people comfortable. This is a big one. This is a big belief. And when we have this belief, it really turns us into like almost an unpaid CEO of everyone else's life. Like we take on the responsibility of everyone else's life when we hold this belief. So this is a job we don't need. So let's quit it, shall we? We'll pleasantly resign from that. Okay. Another belief, and the last one I'll talk about today when it comes to fear, is I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of blank. So I'm not worthy of rest unless I've earned it. I'm not worthy of saying no without having guilt attached to it. I'm not worthy of being paid well for my work. I'm not worthy of asking for help. I'm not worthy of being imperfect. People demand perfectionism. I demand perfectionism of myself. Okay. This is a big one. And that's why the self-love work is so important to really kind of break down that limiting belief there. So in all three of these beliefs, the I'm not enough if, I don't bring any value if, I'm not worthy if, it's all so common, especially with high empaths and recovering people pleasers. They run deep. I'm talking from childhood, from culture to society to social media, everything that we kind of just consume, from our parents, from our grandmothers, from our mothers, just watching them self-sacrifice to a point of burnout, right? We've been reinforced with these ideas from youth, from when we were young. So these beliefs are actually very, very common. But here's the thing, and this is really what I want you to walk away with today, if you hear nothing else from this podcast, that these beliefs are not facts. And it's so easy to allow our brain to convince us that they are. Beliefs are not facts. You can believe something, but it doesn't make it true. Okay, we've just thought it enough times that we believe it's true. Okay. And once you start to see them, that these are just beliefs and not actual facts, then you can start to release them. So you just have to recognize them first. You have to be able to see them. And for my tarot people out there, because I know you're out there and I know you're listening, I know you're watching. Okay, if this is really resonating, then I want you to think about the devil card. Okay, and just, the devil card reminds us of our illusions and what we're chained to. And so, this can also include beliefs that aren't ours. So that's a great card to kind of reflect on or think about. And if you're not a tarot person, but just, think about what are some of the illusions? What are the things that we feel like are important or chained to, but they're really not serving our highest good? Now, let's be honest here. These beliefs, this fear, staying in this pattern of saying yes when you want to say no, it's costing you, right? It doesn't come for nothing. It's not for free, right? It's costing you your peace. It's costing you your rest. It's costing you your joy, your creative spark, your magic. It's costing you. Every time you say yes, you mean no, you're abandoning your truth. And over time, that creates resentment, burnout, even identity confusion, right? Who am I if I'm not this person? Who am I if I don't be the go-to person? Who am I, right? It can create a lot of confusion around that. Like, who am I when I'm not managing everyone else's life, right? When you've quit your CEO job of taking care of everyone else, like, who are you? And this is why doing this kind of work matters, this self-love work, this self-reflection work, because it helps us to dismantle these beliefs, that these limiting beliefs. It helps us realize that saying no is not rude. It's actually revolutionary. And especially when it comes to us and our personal self journey. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit of strategy here, because I am equal reflection and awareness, but also I like to give you strategy. That's my job as a boundaries coach. So I'm going to give it to you. I want to give you 3 things that you can do starting today to help dismantle these beliefs and this pattern of saying yes when you really want to say no. And some of these might sound familiar because they're just tried and true and they just work. Okay. But the first one I want to offer you is the pause and feel before you respond. This is like number 1 that I teach all of my coaching clients. Your anxiety is going to tell you that you have to answer immediately and you have to make them happy. But that is just anxiety talking, okay? You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to feel in your body what you actually want or need before you respond. So when someone asks you for something, you don't have to auto yes. Instead, you can say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. Or I need to sit with that. I'll circle back. Okay, whatever version of that works for you, but it's really about taking that pause and then feeling into what your truth is, not what your anxiety is telling you or what you think they want to hear. Okay, pause and feel before you respond. Secondly, I want you to use a power phrase. Now, everyone has their own power phrase. It's almost kind of like it's different than a mantra. It's not really a mantra, but it's a go-to response that you can just have in your pocket, that where you feel strong and you feel kind. Because that's the big thing. A lot of times when we're being direct, we feel like we're being mean, but really you're just being direct. So having a power phrase on the go that you've practiced can be really, really helpful. Some of my favorites that I use and my coaching clients use is, that doesn't work for me right now. It's not saying that it's a hard no forever. That doesn't work for me right now. Second power phrase you can use is, I'm not available for that, but I hope it goes well. Or, I say that one all the time where I'm like, I'm not the woman for the job, but I'm sure whoever you pick is going to be amazing. Or just simply, no, thank you. I'm focusing on my capacity right now, or I'm focusing on other things. I'm prioritizing other things right now. So having this kind of power phrase just ready to go allows you, when you get that immediate intuitive nudge that this is a no, you can just have something off the bat that you don't have to like stew in that awkward energy of how am I going to tell them no? Ooh, should I give it a delay and then eventually tell them later so it's not face to face or in a text? You just have it ready to go, especially when you know it's an instant no for you. Okay. And remember too, like your another power phrase can just simply be no. That's it. Short and sweet. It's a full-on sentence, right? No is a full-on sentence. But if saying that feels scary or like too direct for you, having a, pre-made power phrase can be helpful. Thirdly, I want you to affirm your worth daily. Now, this can seem like a little on the woo side, but just go with me, right? When we have these beliefs that tie into our fears, we really have to dismantle them. We have to replace them with new beliefs that are more empowering and more helpful. So, affirming your worth daily is so important, especially when you don't naturally or normally get it from outside sources. Sometimes it's nice when we have a loving, supportive partner or a caring parent or an observant boss or something like that, or a good friend, but most of us don't have that. We have to rely on ourselves, which really that should be the source of our worthiness anyway. And so to really take that on for yourself, to affirm your worth daily. So that an affirmation like, I am worthy of saying no. I'm not here to prove my value through self-sacrifice. My truth matters. Boom, right? You've affirmed it. My truth matters. I'm worthy of saying no. I'm not a bad person for saying no. Like you have that magic within you. So when we can do that, again, we are replacing unhelpful beliefs with more empowering, helpful beliefs. Okay, so those three things: pause and feel before you respond, having a go-to power phrase, and affirming your worth daily. And if you want to add a little even extra magic, I'm a crystals person, so I like to even have like crystals in my pocket, like a smoky quartz or something, especially when I'm trying to ground into my truth, or especially when I know I need to set a boundary coming up. It just helps to ground me. So if that helps my mystic ladies out there, there you go. Hot tip. Put a nice smoky quartz or like any grounding stone in your pocket when you have to talk about a boundary. All right. Let's take a breath in and out. Yeah. Because we just talked about some heavy stuff, y'all. We talked about big fears. We talked about limiting beliefs. We talked about how to dismantle them, right? Again, this is the work, my love. It's not learning about doing more, but really how you can honor your enoughness and be the person you are, and be exactly as you are, and not feeling like you have to put on a show, not feeling like you have to change who you are. You're worthy of love just as you are. This is the work, my friend. So I want to offer you some reflection for the week before our next episode. So 3 different reflection points. First being, I want you to think about where in your life are you riding the yes carnival and ready to get off? Remember that metaphor I talked about at the beginning of this episode? So where in your life are you riding the yes carnival? Okay, think about that and ready to get off. Second reflection I want you to think about this week is, what belief from today's episode is the loudest for you? So I talked about a few different beliefs, right? Belief of worthiness, all that. Which one was the loudest for you? And just reflect on that, okay? And see what comes up for you. And then lastly, I want you to reflect on, what would it look like to trust that your no is sacred? What would it look like to know that your no is sacred? That it has its own power, it has its own magic, and it comes with its own love? What would it look like? Oftentimes when we don't have concrete examples in our own life yet, we can utilize our imagination to help us recreate the reality that we want. Okay. Our imagination is powerful and it is connected to your intuition. It can do wonders for you if we allow it. Okay. Now, if you love this episode, I want you to let me know. Talk to me, sister. Let me know. I'm on a few different channels. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. I'm on YouTube and on my website, mytimemama.com. I want to hear from you. Is this landing for you? What particularly is standing out for you? I want to hear from you. And if you're ready to go deeper, if you're really getting a lot out of these episodes, let's have a chat. I have a coaching program called the Leap Coaching Program that is just a beautiful step-by-step process to just take all of the concepts that I've talked about in this podcast on another level and allow space and time to really breathe into these concepts, particularly for your life, okay? And really building your new boundary blueprint for yourself. So if you're interested in learning more, I'll put the link to the Leap Coaching Program in the show notes, or you can just message me directly and we can have a one-on-one conversation to see if it's truly a great fit. So until next time, I want you to keep listening to your intuition. I want you to say no with love and without guilt. I want you to choose yourself again and again. And as I want you to love yourself like you mean it. Much love.